Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel where I show you the paper projects that I'm working on and the products that I'm using to make them. Today I have a whole bunch of fun goodies to use to create another Christmas layout with the new Stampin' Up collection called Reindeer Days. I got the Sweet collection. I didn't get the whole collection, but I got this parts of the Sweet collection instead of the scrapbooking kit, and I'll kind of tell you why as I walk you through it. But here it is in the catalog. This is the Reindeer Days Sweet collection. I got the paper pack, the DSP, that I'll show you right here. I got the stamp set with the die cuts, and I got the embossing folder. I did not get these peppermint stickers. They're super cute, and I almost got them, but I just don't really need them. I have a ton of twine already, so I didn't get the twine, and I didn't believe that I would use this baker's box for anything, so I didn't get those three things. Here's the other side of the catalog, so you can kind of see. Aren't these reindeers just the cutest things? The die cuts, these die cuts, this reindeer right here and this reindeer right here, will cut out the reindeer, one reindeer on this page, I believe this one right here, and on this page it will cut out the pair of deer right here. So I'm super excited to use that, along with making these little reindeer heads with the wreath. It's just adorable. The other thing I got with this set are the pocket scrapbooking pages, or not pages, cards. They're right here, and in the catalog I believe they're described as a card pack, because you can use them for card fronts and card bases, which I may do because you get a few of each pattern. But I like to use these pocket scrapbooking cards on my scrapbook pages, and you'll see how I do that as we get going. So I did order that as well. Now, the reason I didn't order the kit, the scrapbooking kit, is because of the paper. I had ordered the paper, this DSP pack, before the scrapbooking kits came out, and I knew they were coming out, but the sticker sheet wouldn't be sold separately. It would only be sold with the paper pack, and the paper pack with the kit only has 6 pattern papers, and the DSP pack comes with 12. So I already have them flipped over here. They're double-sided, so you can see you get 2 of the same, and I just flipped them over so you could see all these different papers, and I wanted all of them. And with the stamps and the pocket cards, I didn't think that I would miss the stickers. They are very cute, but I opted to get the paper pack instead. So I'm going to kind of piece all that together using these things. I did order, though, after the scrapbooking kits came out, it does come with this coordinating cardstock. So I did go back and order the coordinating cardstock. And what's nice about this cardstock is Stampin' Up! Has their cardstock that is the same color on both sides through and through. There's no white in the middle. You can see this one has a white core. But the coordinating cardstock for the scrapbooking kits is two-toned. So you can see here, if I flip it over, you have a dark side and a light side. And that's with all of the colors. So this one comes with, this is real red. And then you can see here, when you flip this over, it's two-toned. And I will tell you the colors that this comes with, but I'll just kind of flip those over so you can see. So I did go ahead and order that coordinating cardstock. So the colors that come in this coordinating cardstock, they're listed, always listed on the back of the packaging. And this is Early Espresso, Golden Green, Granny Apple Green, Garden Green, Granny Apple Green, Pecan Pie, and Real Red. So I will be using those along with the papers. So I will also show you, as we get going, the stamps and the coordinating dies, but this is all of them. Very excited to use all of it. So my inspiration today actually came from the cover of the Scrapbooking digital catalog. So I'm going to put that up here so you can see that. And so this is what I'm going to be following today, or kind of recreating, scrap lifting if you will. So, but I'm making some changes. I'm going to build mine on a white base and not a red base, only because my pictures I think will blend in too much if I use all that red. So I am going to bring in this bell paper, super cute, and it will be bordered as shown, like so, but I'll have a white middle. And I was going to show you how I go about building my pages. So for now, that's just going to be offset a little bit. What I've done to help me build all my pages is cut out some templates. And a lot of people that craft or scrapbook will design their scrapbook pages in Cricut Design Space or another design software before they build their pages. And I can do that, but I like to touch things, I like to see things, I like to be able to move them around physically and not have to look at a computer screen. So what I've done is cut out a bunch of templates. I have these in various sizes for all different types of scrapbooking. So this page is going to be a grid page. So I've cut out 4x4 squares. These are actually 4x4, but they've been cut down by 1/8 of an inch on both sides, because when I lay this down here, I want there to be a white border. So I basically go about laying all this out like this, because I know I want a grid and I know I want my photos to be 4x4. I do have a lot of photos for this page, but I'm not going to fill each box with a photo. But once I get this laid out, I can basically treat each little square as its own section to embellish or put a photo or decorate in some manner. And now on this side is going to be this wreath. I wanted those squares to just be 2x2. And I know that I'm going to be adding some photos, which isn't called for on the inspiration that I'm following, but I want more photos than just the one. So I'm basically laying these out. These will be in a circle. And then I know that I want the big picture to be roughly 4x4. So this is actually a placeholder that came in an old Close to My Heart kit. So this is actually 4x4, not cut down. So that will go there. And then I cut these white ones I've had, and these are 3x3, and I write them on the back so I know these ones have not been trimmed down, because this is not for a grid style page. This is for actual photos. So I'm going to put a photo here, a photo here, and a photo here. And I know that white kind of blends in, but I can still see it and replace it as I go. So now I have an idea of how I want my pages to look. So then what I can do is start bringing in the photos that I want, or I can use this design idea to help me figure out how many pictures I need to print based off of how many I have. I usually know going into a project if I have a lot or just a few, and this one I happen to know that I had a lot and I'd be able to choose from plenty. So these are the pictures I'm going to be using. These are from last year from Christmas, and I think I've mentioned this. I am a photographer. It's my profession, and I do Santa sessions every year and happen to just be like the best of friends with Mr. Santa himself. And my daughter Emma just loves this every year because she gets to see the same Santa every year. And I've mentioned this as well. She is developmentally disabled, and she is all about Santa, and she is not scared to visit Santa. She never has been, because he's always been like just a good friend. She knows him personally, and she likes to tell her friends that she knows Santa Claus. So anyways, these are the pictures I'm going to be using. So when I pulled out this picture and set it here, I didn't want to cut it down to a 4x4 because it just didn't look right. So I cut it down to 4x5, and that will go right here, and it will be backed in white and then probably red. Haven't quite decided that. So now that that picture's down, I just remove my little template and I put it off to the side. And then I printed out 3x3 photos, and those are going to go around. This is, again, Emma. This is her favorite doll, Mary Ellen. She's an American Girl, and she goes everywhere with us, so I'll replace one there. And then this is Santa and Mrs. Claus. I'll put her up there. And then this is Mary Ellen telling Santa what she wants for Christmas, and Emma just thinks that is the funniest thing in the whole wide world. So those pictures will go there like that. And then on this side, I go about replacing these ones. So I think I printed out 5, and I think what I want is one in each corner, and one in the middle. And then this is another set that we did of Santa making cookies with the kids, and all the kids that participated in this just had so much fun. So I just kind of go about the page replacing what I think I want, and then this makes it easy for me to move things around and rearrange things as I go. So before I stick anything down, I can visually see what I have. So if I wanted to move it around, I could just switch things around. So for instance, I don't want all Santa on the bottom, so I'm gonna switch these two. Oh, but then I've got them on the same sides, so I think I'll switch these two like this. So you've got Mrs. Claus, Santa, and then Santa and Mrs. Claus. So I like that. And then these will just be embellishment spots. My title is going to go over here somewhere, and I have a stamp set that I got from Close to My Heart before they closed. It is called the Jingle Joy stamp set. It's right here, and I want to use this Just Believe, and then die cut it. It came with a die cut as well, so I'll use that Just Believe on that side. And then I'm basically just going to be using all this different pattern paper to cut these little 2x2 squares and add a bunch of embellishments. This is also where I'll use some of these pocket cards. So if you see on the back, some of them are already flipped over. They're just patterns, and I can cut these into some of the little squares that will fill in those squares. And some of them match the pattern paper exactly. So if I need to save on paper, I can use these instead. And then some of them have like this tree that I might fussy cut out and put in the middle here. I can really just use these as embellishments. So this is really cute and matches the paper, so I may cut that down and put that in here with some pattern paper around it. I really just kind of flip through these cards and see how they could be used. Like that Merry Christmas could go in here very easily. Believe in the Magic is very cute, and it matches the paper as well. So that is how I oftentimes will use these cards in my scrapbooking. They're very good for cutting things out and using as embellishments. And then these are 3x4 cards, and these are 4x6 cards. And you could literally cut out each of these little reindeer if you wanted to. It's got a journaling card on the back you could use. It comes with multiple of each pattern. Aren't those so cute? You could cut those out. You could even just cut a big square. You could even just put this on a regular scrapbooking page just as it is. And then it also comes with these sticker sheets. So you've got 2 of each. So between all of these cards and these little stickers, I just didn't think I needed the stickers that came with the scrapbooking kit. So I'm going to piece everything together using these items instead. So I'm going to start by gutting out this bell paper. I want to save as much of it as possible because it's so cute. So I'm basically going to leave a 1.5 inch border of this paper and just cut out the center. So I'm lining up the left side at the 10.5 inch mark, and my cutting blade, I'm bringing it down to 1.5 inches, sliding it down to 10.5 inches that direction, and then rotating it all the way around each side so that the center part will come out of the center. And then I can use that middle square that pops out of this for another page. I can use it to back photos or embellishments or whatnot on another scrapbook layout. So this helps to save paper. It also helps to keep my scrapbook layouts a little bit thinner. You can see here that I didn't quite get it all the way around, so I'm just going to take some scissors and just kind of snip those little pieces that didn't totally get disconnected. And then I can lay this back out on my mat and bring in the rest of my layout and get started. So before I cut down this white base paper, I am going to bring in the red as my inspiration photo has, and just make sure that I don't want to use the red. So I'm just transferring over all of my little squares and photos over to this red paper. I'm going to go ahead and bring in some white paper to see how it would look matted on my photos on this red paper, and you're going to see here that I quickly realized that I don't like it, and I'm going to stick with my original plan of the white background paper. So I'm just moving everything back off of this red paper, and I'm going to bring in my white paper, which I have trimmed down now so that my bells border is at 1 inch. And then I'm just laying my pictures back out. I'm going to start bringing in some of my pattern paper to figure out which pieces I want to use. And you're going to see here I'm going to compare the pocket scrapbooking cards with the pattern paper, that the sizing is different. So on the reindeer paper, the reindeers on the pattern paper are a much larger scale than the reindeer on the pocket card. Same with these gifts. So I'm using these templates that I purchased a long time ago. They're from Kiwi Lane, and they're just kind of transparent plastic pieces that I can lay over these to figure out which scale I want. And I ended up going with the smaller scale because you could see more reindeer and more presents with the smaller scale pocket card than you could with the DSP or the paper pack. So I've gone ahead and cut out some squares, and I'm just going to start laying them around my page to figure out how many of each pattern I want and where I want them. You'll see me fuss with these quite a bit as I move them around and straighten them out, make sure they're in a circle. And I'm going to cut out some more. I don't have enough on here just yet, but this is my starting point. And I will go back and start pulling out a few more of the pattern papers. You'll see me start to flip some of these squares over to see what's on the back side to help me figure out what other patterns I want to bring in to my wreath. So here I am starting to flip it over, and I really like that the blue color that's on this reindeer that I'm holding now, and I want to bring more of that in because I plan to use a lot of that color on the other side of my page. So I did cut out one of those, and I will start removing a couple of the other squares, and I'll replace those squares with some of these patterns that you see me bringing in here. Just to add a little bit more variety. So here I've cut a few more of those other papers down. I'm going to start adding these in. I just really wanted a lot of variety with these pattern papers. They're all so cute, and I want to include as many as possible. So now I'm just rearranging all of the different squares that I've cut. You can see me line up the ones that I think I'm going to remove down here at the bottom of the screen. That's kind of my dumping ground for my maybe things. I think I have this side done for now, so I'm going to start working on the other side of my layout. And I'm bringing in this pocket card. I'm going to trim down 1/8 of an inch off of the top and the bottom, and then I found these scraps left over from the squares that I cut, and I'm going to put them on the side of that. As you can see, it doesn't quite fill in my 4x4 square, but if I put the little red and white stripe part of it on each side, it makes a perfect 4x4 square. And now I'm taking my 4x4 plastic template again and just kind of laying it over top of some of these cards to figure out what I can cut and what I can't. And I'm not real sure what I want to do with the other squares, so I'm going to move on to the die cuts, and you can see that I use that reindeer to cut out the reindeer die to cut out that reindeer from the page, and I'm again using my template here to see how it'll work on that square if I cut that paper. So I went ahead and cut another paper there, and you can see I'm starting to bring in that pool party color, the blue color, and I put that one single reindeer over on the other side. I've decided to go ahead and use this bottom square as my journaling space, so I just took a scrap piece of white paper and put it down there on the bottom. And when I did that, I set it on top of my black template and realized that I kind of like it matted in black. So I am going to end up trimming all of these squares down by another 1/8 of an inch and matting just the 4 embellishment squares with black paper, just to help separate those squares from the photo squares. And I went ahead and matted my photos in white. I'm going to mat them in white, and then instead of matting them in red, I'm going to mat them in black because I want to bring out the black in my daughter's dress. So I went ahead and decided to do black with white. White with black matte twice. And that will just really pull out the black in her dress and tie in the black photo mats that I've decided to do on the right side of this layout, and just kind of make it all cohesive so that one side of the layout ties in with the other side. It's at this point that I've decided to go ahead and ink the edges of all of my 2x2 squares on this wreath in black ink. That will also just help bring in a little bit more of the black that I've brought in with my photo mats and embellishments. So I'm just going to show you how I ink the edges of the first 3, and the rest I'll go ahead and do off camera because it will take a little bit of time. So I'm just putting a nice, just a thin little ink border on the edges of these just to finish them off. That will really make them pop off of the white background paper and tie in everything else. I'm also going to decide here that I have a lot of that pool party color on the right side of my layout, and I really want to bring it in over onto the left side of my layout. So I'm going to do a little bit of inking on my white background paper. So I'm just testing out my ink and making sure it is the right color, and it is. So I'm going to move these pictures to the side a little bit, and you're going to see me just put a little bit of ink on this and just going to circular motion and filling in some of that white spot where those squares are going to sit, so that once the wreath squares are on there, you'll see this pool party color just kind of peeking out of the edges. So I'm going to go around the whole page and put this ink blending in all 4 corners of my wreath. And then when I'm finished with that, you'll see me put all the photos back, and then I still want to bring in a little bit more black, and my daughter's dress has sequin sparkles all over the top. And so I'm going to decide here that in addition to my ink blending that I'm doing here, I also want to put some black sparkle splattering on this page. So I'm going to remove all the photos. I'll put my layout in a cardboard box. I keep an Amazon box that I've cut down to do all of my ink splattering and whatnot, so that I don't make a mess of my workspace. So here I am moving everything off. I'm going to bring in that box, lay this in there, and I'm going to be using my Wink of Stella paint pens and a stamp block. So there's my acrylic block. I'm going to squeeze out just a little bit of ink onto this block, and then I will use the brush. The Wink of Stella has a brush tip, and I'll pick up some of that ink, and I'm just going to use my Cricut tool here to tap against the marker, and it will just make a nice splatter effect onto my layout. And I'm going to hit it, lighter in some spots and harder in others, so that I get different sized splatters, if you will. And these Wink of Stella pens, they have a glitter effect, so when this dries, it will have just a little bit of sparkle. But I think that this pool party inking and the black splattering just really ties in the left side of the page with the right side of the page. And here I'm going to show you the sparkles. You can see, you'll see it a little bit better at the end. So I'm going to bring my Versamats back in, get myself set up again, and then start bringing in my photos, laying them out where they were, and getting my squares back in to make sure that I inked in all of the right places. And you can see now that I've brought in both pages how that inking just ties in the blue, that blue color that I've brought in on the right side. And I'm going to end up bringing in a little bit more of that same blue color up into my last embellishment box. I will change things around a little bit, but as I started building this layout, I just really liked how that pool party color, well, it's not really a Christmas color, helped to bring out some of the coloring in all these different patterns, and wanted to make sure that I incorporated that color on both sides of my layout equally. So as I finish bringing in my squares again, I will move on back over to the right side of my layout. I've got this one last square that I need to figure out what to do with. And I do want to cut out this reindeer, the mom reindeer and her baby, and put that up there in that last spot. So I went ahead and cut out, you can see this square of a different pattern paper, and I'm going to put those deer right on top of it. And I end up lifting that up on foam tape just to make it stand off of the paper. But in bringing that in, I also brought in a little bit more green, and I'm not loving this right embellishment square that I had, so I'm trimming this paper down a little bit more so that I can put it on a black mat. And then I'm going to try to find something else that I can add to that square. I'm just not certain that I want to leave it there. So I pulled out this pocket card, and I really love that reindeer on the left. So I cut that reindeer out, And I like putting it on top of the blue. It is the same reindeer that's on that blue paper, but it doesn't stand out real well. So here I am matting it on a red mat, and I will also lift that up off. I actually don't use foam tape. I use cardstock. I'll tell you about what I did when we get there, but I'm starting to like now how that's all coming together. I'm going to move on now to the die cuts that I did and start embellishing this a little bit more. So what I did is I have this bucket that I keep to the side, and it's just all my scraps of white paper, leftover cardstock and whatnot that I dig out of often. So I found a few pieces in there that were big enough to cut out these reindeer, and I've basically cut out one reindeer from the pattern paper with the die cut, and then I cut out 4 additional with the scrap white paper, and you can see that blue on there. It's just ink. Those are my practice papers when I was inking, and I don't want to throw them away because they work great for stuff like this. So I'm basically gluing together 4 of these die cuts, the white scrap paper die cuts, one on top of the other, and then I will put the pattern paper die reindeer on the top. And what this does is lifts the reindeer up off of the layout. Same idea as if I was using foam tape, but foam tape would be really hard to use on this kind of intricate die cut. So I'm using my Barely Art Precision Glue. I love this glue, and just layering multiple layers. Here you can see the top layer, and I'm going to pick this up here in a minute, and you can see the thickness that it adds. And I'm just using scrap paper that most people would have tossed. So you can see that thickness. It almost makes it like a chipboard piece. And now when I put it over there, it stands off the paper a little bit better. I did the same thing with this Just Believe. I die cut it in the red. I also die cut it in white and then stamped on it, and also layered 4 of the white die cuts together to get that to stand up off of the layout as well. And here you can see I'm doing the same thing with this rectangle piece. I'm just taking multiple pieces of scrap cardstock, cutting it down and gluing it on the back. This saves my foam tape because foam tape can get a little expensive, and I'm not going to use this white paper for anything else. So it's kind of twofold. I'm saving paper and not being wasteful, and also lifting up this embellishment as if it were foam tape off of my background so that it gives it a little bit more dimension. So you'll see here as I glue that together and lay it on top of there. And then I can start gluing everything down. You're going to see me fuss with this a little bit, quite a bit actually. I thought I had enough, and then I went to glue it down and realized that I wanted it to be a little bit thicker, and so I added a couple more pieces of cardstock there before I finally decided I had enough and glued it down. I am going to work on this reindeer up here, and this one didn't have a die cut. I had to fussy cut this one, so I am going to piece these foam dimensionals very carefully all the way around this set of reindeer so that I can pop it up off of the background as well, since I have a lot of other things already popped up. So I'm just taking these tiny Stampin' Up dimensionals, foam dimensionals, and putting them all over the back of this die cut. I want to make sure that there's enough support there so that when it goes into my album and I close it, that the pressure of the other pages in there doesn't make the middle or any section of it sag. So I'm just making sure that there's an even amount of foam dimensionals. I'm using a little bit of thicker foam tape here on the body portion to really make sure that that reindeer has some structure as it sits up there in that little box. So you can see those trees brought in the green, and there's trees in the other reindeer. The left center square also has green trees, which is why I really wanted to bring in that green reindeer cutout on the right center square, just to really tie the blues and the greens in the embellishment squares all together with the blue that I inked on the other side and the green in the pattern papers also on the left side. So I'm very aware that I have a little bit of all of the colors that I used on both sides of my layout. And I really love how this is coming out. It is fairly simple. It's not a real hard layout. But I'm a kind of a sucker for a good grid layout, and with this one having the grid style on the right and a variation of the grid on the left, I just really love it. I'm going to cut down this journaling card and then this will be finished. So this one is all finished. I'm going to show it to you up close. I originally had planned on putting more embellishments around here, cutting out some more die cuts and doing like some of the wreaths and Christmas presents and different things. But once I laid out these reindeer and the rest of it, I just like it how it is. I mentioned this before. I'm a pretty simple scrapbooker. I don't do a ton of embellishments. I like to. I'm not real good at it. I'm still learning how to embellish better. But with all of the different pattern papers here and everything going on, all the busy patterns, I just didn't feel like this one needed any more embellishments. So I tucked this little reindeer right here under my Just Believe stamp. And with the rest of the reindeer on there, I think that's good enough. And then this side, each of these little boxes, well, it's not really an embellishment cluster. Since it's not a photo, I'm kind of counting it as an embellishment cluster. So I just really love how it all came together. This is just, because this is all about reindeer, I kind of left it that way, so all the extras are reindeer. And then I'm going to hand write my journaling. I just tacked this down in the center so I can peel it up easily, and then I'm going to practice what I want to write on a different piece of paper, and I'll transfer it over onto this at a later time when I have more time to sit down and really think about what it is that I want to say. But so as for this one, I'm going to call this one done, and I really do love it. And there's so much paper left over, so you can see with this, all these different papers that I used, I was able to use some of every single pattern, and a lot of it, you can see a lot of it, and I still have a ton of this paper. I'm going to be able to do so many layouts using this paper pack, especially when you do stuff like this, which is super cute but did not require a whole lot of paper. So you really can make your paper packs stretch pretty far with a little bit of white cardstock. I look forward to making more layouts with this project, and I may even tackle recreating some of the layouts from the scrapbooking kit. Even though I didn't get the kit, I can still kind of scrap lift those ideas using the papers and the items that I did use. And I will definitely be making some gift tags and cards for the holiday season as well. So more videos to come using this paper pack. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and like this video. Go give me a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed it. And go ahead and click on that right side on that video if you'd like to watch another video that I've done. Thanks for watching. Bye.